Hi, my name is Nacho Yescas, and I am the host of the new show, Total Health Collective, live Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. here on 1150 a.m. KKNW.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up. I'm all the way up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Total Health Collective. My name is Adon Yescas, a.k.a. Nacho. And I would like to talk to you guys about, well, if you've been listening to the news lately this week, cancer. There's news talks this week about O.J. Simpson, right? Talking about his release, parole, and what have you. But the news that I was interested about that caught my attention was the Senator John McCain with the aggressive brain cancer. What do we know about that? My whole show is about our overall health, and it caught my attention. It's like this is a very prominent individual with the best health care, and that's here I am trying to learn about cancer and the types of cancer, But when I found out that Mr. McCain, who's 80 years old and got diagnosed with what they call the glioblastoma, which is a rare type of brain cancer. I started doing some thinking about that. And, so I think I want to be able to just touch a little bit about, his cancer and other types of cancers and, and the news. Like I said, I know everybody was the rave about OJ and stating his case, pleading his case, I guess, right, for early release. But I got to thinking about that this week. And, OJ, John McCain. Oh, and I should probably note as well that, Tommy Chong is in town this weekend. He is performing his comedy tour at the Emerald Queen Casino. And I mention that because OJ, Mr. McCain, and Mr. Chong all have something in common. And I wanted to kind of discuss that here, maybe at the throughout the show here at the bottom of the hour. But, so what do we know about this cancer, right? What do we know about this glioblastoma? We know that Mr. McCain is a war veteran. He's done his time. He's been serving the Senate for quite some time, since the early 80s, 87, I believe. But we found out that he, went under a regular checkup and they found the aggressive tumor. And so he had it removed. I guess they removed the blood clot, right, on Friday at the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix. So this is a report, there's plenty of reports, but the one I was reading about mentioned a little bit about glioblastoma and how aggressive it was. And I learned a few things, First, I didn't know that this cancer had also claimed the life of former Senator Edward Kennedy, out of Massachusetts. And also the son of Vice President Joe Biden, So that was news to me. So did not know that. And, as I started researching the type of cancer, I wanted to learn more. And so, I would encourage you guys to go to the American Brain Tumor Association, the website, right? I believe it's abta.org. Again, abta.org. But the American Brain Tumor Association diagnosed, or at least describing glioblastoma is generally found in the cerebral hemisphere of the brain, but could also be found anywhere in the brain or spinal cord. I don't know anybody with that type of rare cancer. So I, with anything else, when you find out about something and you want to know more, you do your research. So, and that's what I've done. I thought it was important to share with you guys, the importance that this plays on our everyday life. And so, continuing on here, some of these description of this rare cancer. It's highly malignant. A large number of tumor cells are reproducing in a given time. They are nourished by an ample blood supply. Dead cells may also be seen, especially towards the center of the tumor. These tumors come from a normal brain cells, and it is easy for them to invade and live within normal brain tissue. It goes on to say the glioblastoma rarely spreads elsewhere in the body. So, and I didn't know there's two types of this type of cancer, or this mutation. One is called the primary or de novo, and there's a secondary symptom deal. So these ones go on to say these tumors tend to form and make their presence known quickly. This is the most common form of glioblastoma. It is very aggressive. And from what it sounds like for Mr. John McCain, it sounds like this thing is rapidly growing or expanding. In fact, I read a report, and they were saying that he's got a 3 to 4% chance of surviving this thing. So, it makes you wonder, somebody like Mr. McCain, who's got the top of the line best health care that you can possibly receive, and to take on or fight something like this. It's especially at a late stage in the game. He's 80 years old, and I can't imagine fighting at that early stage or late stage in life. So, I can only imagine what he's gonna have to go through as far as treatment and the chemo, the radiation that most cancer patients have to go through, and usually that takes a big, heavy toll on your overall health and on your body. So I was looking at some of these the symptoms for this, and it goes on here to show that glioblastomas can grow rapidly. The most common symptoms are usually caused by increased pressure in the brain. These symptoms can include headaches, nausea, vomiting, and drowsiness. And depending on the location of the tumor, patients can develop a variety of other symptoms such as weakness inside of the body, memory, or speech difficulties, and visual changes. Now, don't be like me and go to WebMD and look at things and just think, oh, yeah, I got that. Right? I mean, I think everyone I know goes to WebMD, self-diagnoses themselves, and next thing you know, you tell yourself, oh, I got this or I got that, and it's silly. So, do your research and look at the right resources. The one I went to here is the American Brain Tumor Association. So, and if you want to learn a little bit more about this as well, I've actually attached a link to the website. If you go to thishealscancer.com. In fact, if you go to the blog section, we did a blog on Mr. Senator John McCain, and briefly discussed and put a link on there for more information on this thing here. But that made the news for me, because I am very conscious of our health and what's going on in the world, So, and I know the breaking story for most folks was all about the OJ, pleading his case and stuff like that. But like I said, for myself as a veteran, I have much respect for Senator John McCain. There's no politics in this thing. Cancer doesn't play politics. That's the fact. So it's sad to hear that he is going through something like this. But if you know the story, he's a tough cookie. He's a warrior who's served overseas in Vietnam. He was taken prisoner and hostage, as a prisoner of war. And it's kind of what I wanted to lead into on my next break. But, Senator John McCain, O.J. Simpson, and Tommy Chong all share something in common, and that's the fact that they've all been detained or boxed in, if you will, right? Incarcerated, held up for a while. And that takes a toll on your body, on your mind, and your physical well-being. So, so we'll discuss a little bit about that. We all, I don't have to remind you the O.J. Simpson story. I'm sure everybody's watching it on Netflix or Hulu or what have you. And, I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to speculate. We all have our opinions on that situation. But, and if you've seen the poor man, you've seen how he looks now. His health is, I'm sure, is taking a heavy toll. But I can only imagine if I was in a square box, if you will, and stats have shown that most people will start losing it within 48 to 72 hours of being isolated. And so I can only imagine being incarcerated or locked up, or like in Senator John McCain's situation, becoming a prisoner of war, and being tortured and having to deal with just being held against your will, and fighting that alone. I mean, just that alone is enough to drive anybody crazy. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to say that a little bit. That these gentlemen have a little bit of that in common. And on the next segment here, I will let you know a little bit more about Tommy Chong and how he plays a pivotal part, in the story with cancer as well. So, yeah. So do your research on this glioblastoma. Didn't know much about it until we heard in the news, about Senator John McCain going through aggressive brain cancer. But hopefully he pulls through. He's a tough warrior. Like I said, as a veteran, much respect for him, for what he's fighting and what he's going to be going through. So we will be taking here a short break. Like I said, we'll talk about Tommy Chong and his cancer. So we'll be right back.
Go. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up.
Are you still suffering from a chronic, painful condition that will just not go away? Ever wonder what else there is that would help you experience the health and life that you were designed to have?
Hi, my name is Nacho Yescas, and I am the host of the new show, Total Health Collective, live Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. Tune into our network and let our network tune into you. Let our Total Health Collective be your Total Health Connective.
Tune in Saturdays 5 to 6 on 1150 a.m.
Your business is not about criminals. When hiring new employees or protecting your premises, no one thinks they are bringing in someone who is untrustworthy or that they have an unguarded arena. But it happens. In this world, there's no such thing as 100% guaranteed security. However, at Apache 6, we are 100% ready to help you create the layers necessary for optimal outcome, whether hiring new staff or securing your business. From vetting, access control, and cybersecurity to surveillance and workplace awareness training, we work 24/7 to reduce compromised safety and the millions of dollars lost every day by way of employee theft and imminent outside dangers. From vetting, access control, and cybersecurity to surveillance and workplace awareness training, we work 24/7 to reduce compromised safety and the millions of dollars lost every day by way of employee theft and imminent outside dangers. Your business was never meant to be about criminals, and our job here at Apache 6 is to help you stop the criminal before there is a crime.
Call us at Apache 6 today, 866-222-7715. That's 866-222-7715.
Bringing good vibes to the Puget Sound and the world. Alternative Talk 1150.
I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
Welcome back to the Total Health Collective. My name is Don Yescas, aka Nacho. So we were discussing cancer and Senator John McCain getting diagnosed with a rare type cancer that has taken the lives of former Senator Ted Kennedy and Joe Biden's son. And so, we were discussing how Tommy Chong is in town today for his comedy tour. And if you know Tommy Chong, he's an avid smoker, well, look at his movies that he's created, Up in Smoke, things like that. And he's an advocate for many things, but we did a blog on him as well. If you go to thishealscancer.com, go to the blog section, you'll see a YouTube video of an interview with Tommy Chong discussing his cancer and how he first got diagnosed with prostate cancer, and then he got colorectal colon cancer. And he acquired this, what he believes he acquired this while he was incarcerated. And there's a long story behind that, and it's silly. But, so he's in town, and we were trying to do a interview with him. But I would, like I said, I would highly recommend you go to the website and check out his video and his story, and how he's treating colon cancer. And he's actually fought it, which is awesome because he just came out on the news, I believe, in 2012 with that news. And, most folks have to go through chemo, radiation, all that good stuff. And so check that out. I'll tell you a little more about what he was going through and how he's combating that. So we also have a video interview with Camilo, and Cam for short. And I know this individual very well, works security out here in the Seattle area, and he is also diagnosed with colon cancer. And so we did an interview with him just to give you a little bit of story, a personal perspective from his point of view and how he's treating, his colon cancer. So if we can play that video here, like I said, and if you want to check out the actual video, you can go to the website as well, thishealscancer.com, and go to testimonials, and you'll see his actual video interview. But we'll listen to the interview here right now. So,
Camilo Estrada Jr. Cam. I'm 45 years old. I am a training athlete. I am a person dedicated to an active lifestyle and plant-based nutrition. I actually grew up in South Florida, in Miami specifically, for the last 33 years. I was recently diagnosed with colorectal cancer specifically back in December 2016. Personally, there were absolutely no symptoms, nothing that I could feel or sense at all. The only thing that was initially a red flag was, without graphically putting, a little bit of blood in the stool, which is what the doctors call it.
yeah, man.
And so as I was casually discussing that with my doctor here in Seattle, doing my initial checkups here, as I mentioned that, I also mentioned a little bit of my family history, specifically my mom, who at 55 was diagnosed with the same colorectal cancer condition. And so immediately that prompted for a colonoscopy, and evidently the result of the colonoscopy could have resulted in finding a couple of tumors in the colon area. First reaction is that initially I wasn't surprised, not that I was expecting it, but because since my mom and other members of my family had had cancer, her elders, I immediately thought it was a family condition. Gladly today, due to genetic testing, it resulted in the fact that I don't have genetic mutations. And that basically leads that I am not a high-risk person due to mutations, due to hereditary conditions. So my case, on a positive note, is isolated to those tumors I have in my colon. Gladly for me, it was early stages in which they were detected back in December. It's important to note that for most people, for most adults, the initial colonoscopies are recommended starting at 50 years old or above. At 44 years old, at early detection, I have been diagnosed. Needless to say, I think it's critical for others to consider family history or not. I wouldn't wait until I'm 50, especially if you know that if your nutrition hasn't been at all that great, then you have nothing to lose by just checking out. In my case, it gave me a significant head start in being able to put my mindset into knowing that I have resources available, apply the discipline to stick to those resources, and move on. In my case, that's exactly how I feel. I still today feel no symptoms of this condition. It hasn't debilitated me in any way. I feel just as strong as last year. In fact, I feel stronger, but in that case, it's thanks to the plant-based nutrition that I feel today has given me a lot of energy. And moving forward with my life, with an active lifestyle, among other things, is what I hope, and I know I'm confident that will help me heal. And so things are moving on, and things are moving positively for me right now. I had learned prior to moving to Seattle, while I was residing in Florida, about THC and CBD for cancer treatment, simply by researching, more specifically researching the PhoenixSteers.ca page, which addresses specifically how you can manufacture your own RSO, or Rick Simpson oil, which is in fact one of the main medical components that I consume today for the purpose of treating the cancer condition. So gladly having done all that research, unbeknownst to me that I would be diagnosed months ahead, also gave me some level of confidence, because I had also seen videos of real patients, terminal ill patients, whose life had been extended by the use of cannabis oil. And so I've always knew through to my heart that the real medication is out there, and it just simply needs to be made more available to people. And so gladly living in a state where cannabis use is legal, I am blessed to simply realize that I have all these resources at my disposal. If I would have, going back to the question that you asked about me being scared, I think I would have shit my pants in Florida if I would have been diagnosed there. Because then never mind. I'm here today, and I'm thankful specifically for that reason, because the medication is available to me. And I do hope and dream that eventually it will become easily accessible and legally available to anyone who needs it. I will continue to share my story as an activist to inspire others and move forward in the movement to help legalize a plant that is not, that nature intended for it to be here for us. And I'm here to enjoy it, and I actually do. While I've been positive from day one, and when the doctor first told me that it was a positive result, that I did have cancer, sure, something twirled inside me, even now, as you can see, that sparked me up and say, wow, you know, the big C. Ironically, some people call me that, but this is the real deal. At that moment, yes, I may have hesitated a second or two to realize, wow, this is actually happening to me. But as I said earlier, knowing that sadly my mom had gone through this, and I saw her strength, the strength that she helped me achieve by her own example is really something that I think destiny prepared me for that day and today to be strong and to stay strong. Sadly, I did see my mother go through the surgery and the recovery and all and everything that comes post cancer surgery. It was quite intense, and I remember vividly, and it was her strength, I think, that prepared me mostly for how I feel about not just cancer today, and not just recovery, but how I feel about life in general. And if you are a patient that perhaps need additional support in areas of strength and feeling positive and feeling motivated, there are definite resources, and I hope that my story somehow, some way may help anyone to realize that. Because yes, we can heal. A cancer diagnosis does not have to be scary today in 2017. If you understand how it works, if you understand how healing works, there's no reason for you and your family, your loved ones, to be scared, to be intimidated at all by it, or by what other outside sources say, okay? Look within, understand what you want, and if you put your minds into it, we can absolutely accomplish this and much more.
So that was an interview with Camilo, aka Cam. And I, when I first talked to him about that, it was pretty inspiring to get a firsthand perspective on someone who's very positive. And just think about that. He got diagnosed with this last December. What is that, 7 months ago? 8 months ago. And when you talk to him, he's so positive and has this demeanor. He's like a warrior. He knows he's going to beat this. And it's something to said about that, going into this, head on and knowing that he's not thinking, well, maybe I might beat this. It's going in there saying, I know I'm going to beat this. And that's awesome. So, if you go check out the website, thishealscancer.com, you'll see the video. It's for yourself. And below that, I put a link on there to help him out. It's the GoFundMe.com/Camilo versus cancer. I think it's important that you understand his story. It's remarkable, where he's come from. in such a short little amount of time coming from Miami. So, help me out here. Check out his link. And, I'm very proud of him, of knowing the type of person that he is and how strong he is battling this. So, and in this interview, he mentioned plant-based nutrition and how important nutrition really plays into this. And so I went to cancer.org, and I put the link on the website as well. But let me read you a little section on nutrition and what he's talking about. So the World Cancer Research Fund estimates that about 20% of cancers that occur in the U.S. are due to combined effects of excess alcohol consumption, poor nutrition, physical inactivity, and excess weight, and thus could be prevented. Approximately 85% of adults who don't smoke maintain a healthy body weight. Being physically active on a regular basis, eating a healthy diet, and limiting alcohol consumption are the most important ways to reduce cancer. And so on that section, on that page, it gives you recommendations, right? We all know this. We're all told, hey, eat healthy, exercise, but it's a reminder. Some of these things are preventable, and we can prevent some of these things. So be lean as possible, right? Maintain a healthy weight. Avoid excess weight gain at all ages, not just when we get older, right? Being overweight or obese, losing small amounts of weight has healthy benefits and is it's a good place to start. Engage in regular activity and limiting consumption of high-calorie foods, beverages, and just maintain a healthy lifestyle. So, again, check out that interview. I mean, I think it's awesome that he's already ahead of the curve. And in less than 8 months, he's able to, tackle this on and is on the right path to self-healing. So we will take a short break and then talk about Tommy Chong being here in Seattle and how he's fighting his own version of the colon cancer. So be right back.
Go. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up.
Are you still suffering from a chronic, painful condition that will just not go away? Ever wonder what else there is that would help you experience the health and life that you were designed to have?
Hi, my name is Nacho Yescas, and I am the host of the new show, Total Health Collective, live Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. Tune into our network and let our network tune into you. Let our Total Health Collective be your Total Health Connective.
Tune in Saturdays 5 to 6 on 1150 a.m.
Ever tried to see where you're driving with your hands over your eyes? While the road ahead may seem clear, what's behind you or either side is just as important. In life, it's often the same. And while our journey is always to move forward, when our blind spots block us, the distraction can be quite overwhelming. Hi, I'm Jolene Ashker. We will collaborate to remove your blind spots, releasing you to be and do from the best possible place and most unique one-of-a-kind design. You. I am so excited to be your coach and to witness the revelation of your highest effectiveness and deepest fulfillment that awaits you just on the other side of today, helping you clear out the blind spots of yesterday, creating new professionally and personally enhancing life habits, making way for the happiness that is already yours.
Call today to schedule your complimentary consultation, 425-553-1181, or visit www.discoveringyourwings.com.
You found us. Maybe you've been guided to listen. Alternative Talk 1150.
I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
Welcome back to the Total Health Collective. My name is Don Yescas, a.k.a. Nacho. So we're talking about Tommy Chong being in Seattle. He's a comedian, has made movies, and is performing today at the Emerald Queen Casino. And I believe that laughter is a great form of therapy, right? In many ways, laughter, smiling, having a positive vibe. And so I mentioned this individual because that's how he is. He's very positive. Enjoys life. It just has an upbeat vibe about him, And so this individual has a remarkable story as well. This individual has been smoking for quite some time. And if you've seen some of his movies, that you know. What you don't know about this individual is that he did some prison time. And that's what he has in common with OJ, and of course Senator John McCain, being a prisoner of war. So being boxed in and being cut from the outside world for quite some time takes a toll on your health and your body and your overall health, your state of mind. And it's silly that Tommy Chong was imprisoned not for consumption or smoking or anything like that, but he was working for his son, paraphernalia company, and he mailed a glass pipe bong from California to Pennsylvania. And the feds came down on him and made an example out of him. And they pretty much told him, look, either your son goes to prison, your wife's going to prison, or you're going to prison. One of you guys is going to prison. And so he took the rap for them, and yeah, and off he goes, right? I believe he did 1 or 2 years in prison. But in that time, he acquired colon cancer. And this individual had always been partaking. And, when you're incarcerated, there's no partaking in any of that. So, and he strongly feels that he acquired that in the time that he could not consume. And so when he got out, right off the bat, he wanted to start combating this colon cancer. And so it was a combination of the typical chemo, radiation, but he also started treating it with hemp oil, the CBD, the RSOs, and if you go to the website, there's a link on there. I think it's cancer.org, but there's a link on there on the blog section, which will give you a lot more information specifically about this and how he was able to treat this and how it helped him. Now, he's not saying this was the cure-all, but he definitely did the right thing by consulting with his doctors, and he brought it up to them and said, "Hey, is this the right thing for me?" And so most doctors would, look the other way and said, no, we go the typical, chemotherapy and, just like everyone else. But he went against it, and he did a combination of that with some CBD, RSO, and hemp oil. And, this was back in 2012. And, today he's cancer-free, so it's inspiring, right, to be able to have some say in how you control your sickness or your virus and your own cancer. So just wanted to touch up a little bit, right, on some of these stats that's alarming, for Cam or for Tommy Chong on colon cancer, right? So here's a report here, right, from cancer.org on the estimated cases of colon cancer each year. So there's approximately 95,520 cases of colon cancer and 39,910 cases of rectal cancer that will be diagnosed in the U.S. just in this year alone. Colorectal cancer is the third most common cancer in both men and women. On the death toll, it's estimated 50,000 deaths from colorectal cancer will occur in 2017 alone. And it's the second leading cause of cancer in men and in third leading cause in women. And I didn't understand much when Cam was first telling me about this, and it's sad that we never care about some of these illnesses or diseases unless it occurs to you directly or a loved one or someone that we know, and I think it's important, that we learn about these things and how we can prevent any illnesses. So on here, our early detection, right? So beginning of the age of 50, men and women are at the average risk of developing colorectal cancer and should begin screening. Screening can prevent colorectal cancer through the detection of removal of pancreas growth, as well as detect cancer at an early stage when treatment is usually less extensive and more successful. So, the typical treatments would be the surgery, as far as, what does it say here? Surgery is the most common treatment for colorectal cancer that has not spread. And the survival rate, it says 5 in 10 year relative survival rates for colorectal cancer are about 65% to 58% respectively. And only 39% of patients are diagnosed with localized disease, for which 5-year survival is 90%. And it's scary. I couldn't imagine, being diagnosed with something. I mean, there's so many stats. I mean, where do you begin on these things? The mortality trends, the death rate on something like this for 2014, for example, is 14 per 100,000. Whereas in 1975, it was 28 per 100,000. And because of this decline in improvements in early detection and treatments, from 2005 to 2014, the rate has declined dramatically by 2.5 per year. So that's awesome, And for example, Cam, knowing that, he got diagnosed early on, he knew the history in his family and was able to take preventive measures early on. That's the key to this thing. And another couple of stats that I looked into was the income levels, right? And locations of where these things are occurring. And just in plain terms, I realized that, for an individual who doesn't have a college degree or is working an average job that doesn't have health benefits, those folks tend to not get themselves diagnosed or checked up. And therefore, they delay the process and they go into what's considered like a stage 2, stage 3, and then they catch it late in the game because they didn't get themselves checked out in time. Whereas someone who's in a better financial situation has better health care and is like Senator John McCain, top of the charge when it comes to health care. He'll get himself screened every 6 months or every year like everybody else, and you're able to find these things early on. So, some of these signs and symptoms, like Cam was saying, that early stages colorectal cancer typically does not have a symptoms, which is why screening is usually necessary to detect cancer early on. And for him, he, like he said, he found it in stool samples, and that was enough to grab his attention, and he got himself checked out. So, some of these risk factors or increased risk include obesity, physical inactivity, long-term smoking, and high consumption of red processed meats, low calcium intake, moderate to heavy alcohol consumption, and very low intake of fruits and vegetables. So he mentioned, that changing his diet was the key for him. So, like I said, we can go on and on about some of these stats and how we can go about correcting some of these things, but I thought it was important to mention, the story of Tommy Chong, especially with him being in town. I really did try to get an interview, and I still will. I'll still try to get the interview with him, and just to get a personal one-on-one with him and tell exactly how he's doing today. Because that interview, if you go to the website, you'll see that I believe it's about 1 year or 2 years old. So it's a little bit outdated, but it's a great testimonial of where he's at in his life and how he's dealing with cancer. I mean, the individual was with Dancing with the Stars, and I believe he's under treatment and still had cancer when he was appearing on Dancing with the Stars. So, and the individual was 70, almost pushing 80. So that's remarkable and that's awesome. And that's what inspires me to get stories like his, stories like Cam's, to come out and tell the world, that, hey, there's more to this, that we don't have to just treat it with, chemo, radiation. In fact, Tommy Chong on his interview mentioned that he knew that along with the chemo therapy, that he would take the hemp oil and the RSO, because that enabled him, in his words, to give him the munchies. because he realized that, hey, in order for me to repair my body, because the chemo we know is killing the bad cells and the good cells. And so by him taking the hemp oil, that, in his words, gave him the munchies, but he was able to provide the nutrients and supplements that his body needed to start repairing some of the cells. And he attributes that. He sincerely believes that is what helped him, gain his strength and start repairing his body. When it came to combating the colorectal cancer for him. So I would highly encourage you to, Google Tommy Chong and cancer, or just go to our website, thishealscancer.com, and on the blog section, you'll see the link to the video. And again, the link to the cancer website, or more specifically, the American Cancer Society. In fact, I'll read you a few more little notes about that, because I didn't know. That's the beauty of this thing. When we don't know, we Google this thing, and it's a matter of getting the right information and making an informed decision on what's best for your health. That's my disclaimer right now. I'm not here to tell you that this is a 100% solution, nor is the answer for you. Speak with your doctor and find out what is going to best be the solution for whatever ailment or illness that you're going through. But do your research, and like I said, go to the website, and I'll put the link underneath the video of Tommy Chong discussing his particular cancer and how he was able to combat that. So, I think we'll dive into the American Cancer Society here shortly after our next break.
Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up. All the way up. I'm all the way up.
Are you still suffering from a chronic, painful condition that will just not go away? Ever wonder what else there is that would help you experience the health and life that you were designed to have?
Hi, my name is Nacho Yescas, and I am the host of the new show, Total Health Collective, live Saturday afternoons at 5 p.m. here on 1150 a.m. KKNW. Tune into our network and let our network tune into you. Let our Total Health Collective be your Total Health Connective.
Tune in Saturdays 5 to 6 on 1150 a.m. What would having your family home be secure really feel like? Our houses are only important in that they are where we hold who is precious to us. The choices you make today affect the choices you could make tomorrow. All things being equal, would you make the choice to be secure? What would it feel like if you could prevent your home from being one of the 18 homes every minute that is broken into? What if you could safeguard your family from being one of the 30 people every day that are harmed in a home invasion? Would you do it? At Apache 6, we know nothing is 100% preventable. We also know that there are some things that are 100% irreplaceable. Our mission is to protect that which is most precious to us, life. Protect it.
Call us at Apache 6 today, 866-222-7715. That's 866-222-7715.
Talk radio for the heart and soul. Alternative Talk 1150.
I'm all the way up. Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.
Welcome back to the Total Health Collective. This is Nacho. So we're discussing cancer, the forms of cancer and preventive measures to how to combat this. So again, in the news today, or this week, we were talking about, Senator John McCain being diagnosed with a tumor. And, we discussed Tommy Chong being in town and how he's dealing with his cancer. And so we have a couple links on our website, thishealscancer.com, in regards to cancer in general. And there's a few things that I looked up that I didn't know, and I'm not sure if you knew, but the American Cancer Society was founded back in 1913 as the American Society for the Control of Cancer by 15 prominent physicians and business leaders back in New York. I didn't know that. This organization was aiming to bring cancer into the mainstream of public disclosure through education campaigns, working to inform both health practitioners and the public about disease. This society now works with 2 million volunteers to help create world-free, pain and suffering of cancer. So, totally believe in holistic healing and preventive measures. And, it's about education. It's about finding the right resources to better heal ourselves. Originally I was going to do a topic of acupressure. The VA prescribes, I believe it's like 12 sessions throughout the year, and I mean, if I had it my way, I'd be going 2 or 3 times a week if I could, but the VA only provides so much. And so I was going to discuss that for myself. I know that I deal with quote unquote chronic back pain. That's what the VA had diagnosed me with. And so I found that acupressure, massage therapy, and chiropractic work did the job for me. It wasn't a cure. It didn't 100% heal me, but it was a way of relief, even if it's for a short period of time. So I spoke to an individual, a chiropractor, this week. And early on, he kind of stopped me in my tracks and said, "Hey, are you here to just get temporary relief, or are you here to actually heal yourself 100%? And I'm like, was that a trick question? I mean, of course I want to heal myself. I'm not here. I'm not down to pay weekly and come in and see and be a little piggy bank, for these folks." But he asked me because he mentioned that a lot of the chiropractors that get into the profession is purely, it's like anyone, like it's a typical job, it's just a business. And there's other doctors like himself who look at it in a very different way. It's about the holistic healing. It's about fixing you and releasing you back into society, right? Make it sound like a bird, release you back into the wild. But, really get into the source and fixing the problem at hand, not just giving you a quick Band-Aid and then having you move on. So he was going on about his profession and how he would tackle my situation, and a little bit of my back problems. Some of these stem back way back to 2003 or 2003, 2004, when going into Iraq. Carrying all this gear and walking in what we considered moon dust, desert environment. It takes a toll on your body. And, the one thing I never considered was the environment and the air and the chemicals and the dust and all the things that we were breathing. And I say that because, Senator John McCain was in Vietnam. And if you know many veterans from Vietnam, they talking about Agent Orange and the things that they were exposed to. And I'm not saying that he's got a brain tumor or what he's got going on because of that. But you got to wonder the environment that you're in and what it could create or get into your body, and what you bring back. Because I thought about that for myself. The VA was quick to just say, "Hey, you got a chronic back pain, leave it at that." But what about my respiratory problems, my breathing, nasal passages, all that good stuff, the hacking? It's just like this desert environment. In fact, I think being in Africa for myself probably did a lot more damage than Iraq did, to be honest with you. But we take these silly pills and said, hey, the malaria pill, you take the anthrax shots. I took all these things against my will, but it was part of the checking the box. This is part of being in the military. This is part of going overseas and, preventing diseases or bringing home back diseases. So there's a lot of things, to consider when we think about the cancer and how we acquired cancer in the first place. Speaking with Cam, he was talking about his changing his diet, being active, getting in the gym, taking control of your body. So I believe there's things that we can take control of and prevent early on. We don't have to wait until we're 40, 45, 50, 60, and so on. I think we should, take it upon ourselves to get checked out early on, And so there's just so many stats that I've learned, like I said, that I wanted to tell you about. Like, for example, if you're a woman dealing with breast cancer, right? The typical age to check out yourself for mammography deal is ages 40 to 54. And it says on here, recommendations, women should undergo regular screening, mammography starting at the age of 45. Women ages 45 to 54 should be screened annually. Women should have the opportunity to begin annual screening between the ages of 40 and 44. So, why wait until you're 50 or 54? The cervix. In fact, I have a friend whose wife is combating something like this right now, cervix cancer. And I hear in his story and the struggles that he goes through, it's heartbreaking. And of course I want to help. How can we help? What can we do to help? But on here it says for the cervix deal, for women ages 21 to 29, a Pap test, right? Screening should be done every 3 years with conventional or liquid-based Pap test. Again, for ages 30 to 65, Pap test and HPV or HPV DNA test. Screening should be done every 5 years with both the HPV test and the Pap test. Preferred or every 3 years with the Pap test alone. So, again, ages 66 and above, Pap test and HPV DNA test. Colorectal cancer, right? For men and women, ages 50 and above. Annual testing, spontaneously passed stool specimens, single stool testing during clinical office visits is highly recommended. A stool DNA test should be done every 3 years. So, my grandpa diagnosed with prostate cancer. Now he's in his early 80s and he's very macho. He's like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm going to live out my life. And, we respect his wishes, but, to each their own. If we love our loved ones, we definitely want to see them get the proper care that they need. So for prostate, ages 50 and above, men who have at least 10 years of lifespan expectancy should have an opportunity to make an informed decision with their healthcare provider about whether to be screened or prostate cancer, about receiving information about potential benefits, risk, and a certain associated with prostate cancer screening. So, again, do your research. Go to the website, check out our links on the American Cancer Society, and just look up. There's so many stats, so many things to different types of cancers. Lastly, I want to be able to tell you that I went to a meditation session this last Wednesday. Usually done it at home without any technical or official guidance. I didn't know what this would take, but I went to a group session and I found it to be pretty therapeutic, to be honest with you. I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, oh man, here we go. We're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya kind of things, but it was pretty cool. So I would highly suggest, if you are in a very stressed out kind of, environment, or if there's a lot of stress in your life on whatever occupation or issues you might be going through, look into meditation. We'll definitely do a segment show on meditation, but I would highly suggest looking into the most simplest meditation if you can. It doesn't cost you anything. Do it at home. Just find a corner, find some peace and quiet, and start out with 5 minutes. Just simply sit there in silence, 5 minutes, lead that into 10 minutes, and then progress to a 15, 20, 30, 45 minutes, and see what it does for you. Sometimes just getting away and grounding yourself with Mother Earth can do some wonders. And that's what I would highly recommend. So, I just want to give a shout out to our sponsors, and go to the website to check them out. But definitely want to acknowledge Chemo Beanies for sponsoring our show, and we are eagerly waiting for their product to check out. And I would love to be able to do some giveaways here on the show. We'll start taking some calls from the listeners. And let's just discuss, holistic healing and the ways we can cure ourselves. I honestly feel that we have it in us to heal ourselves. There's something about the mind and having to just overcome any obstacles, any challenges that comes our way. I don't think God would punish you and hit you rock bottom and continue to just slip in life. I look at every challenge as a learning curve. And every time I stumble, I dust myself off and I keep on going. And that's just how life is, And I look at cancer as the same way. What can we do to get back up and continue? To have that mindset that we will overcome whatever obstacles come our way. So, so just definitely want to again check out our website. And a big shout out to Chemo Beanies for sponsoring our shows, and enjoy this beautiful weather. It's gorgeous out. I can't wait to get on the lake. So, again, thank you for listening. Have a great weekend, everyone. Stay safe, stay fit, and remember, the power to heal yourself is within you.
This is exclusive. Go! Go! Nothing can stop me. I'm all the way up.